Lovely. Good evening, everybody. My first problem is that it's afternoon. I said it's good evening, and you generously responded by saying good evening. When your two representatives came over to my office yesterday, they said, "What would you like to speak on?" I said, "God." And they looked a little confused. So I said, "Corporate ethics?" They said, "That's better." There is a wonderful saying here, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya. Who can tell me the first line and the third line of that Sanskrit shloka? Asato ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso ma Mrityu ma. That's very interesting because it is one of the most ancient invocations that man can express towards whatever you might want to call God, heavens, a supreme being. As management students today, you will be required to practice ethics on an absolutely unprecedented scale. Let me give you an example, a small example. 4 months ago, the United States federal prosecutor in San Francisco requested Amazon to give the court the recordings that Alexa had made in a certain man's house. That is when most people realize that Amazon Alexa listens to everything and records everything. Most of us are very delighted and amused when we say, "Alexa, tell me the weather." How does Alexa know you're talking to it? How does Google Assistant know you're talking to it? The microphone has to be on. Based on the recordings provided by Amazon to the court, the federal prosecutor was able to prove that the man had carefully planned his wife's murder. Now the problem was that he had purchased Alexa 3 months ago as a gift for his wife. And this just tells you what kind of problems we are going to have facing forwards. You are going to be masters in business and management. How good is your fundamental true north? How ready are you for the ethics questions that will beleaguer your life? Section 377. Wow. Because of the kind of data Google collects every time you search and every time you mail, Google knows who your boyfriend is. Google knows now who your boyfriend's boyfriend is. Google knows that the boy you like, that you find so handsome, actually believes that he's a beautiful girl trapped in a man's body. You have no idea what kind of information Google has. And the greatest business on earth today is the selling of information on human beings that happens. This raises absolutely profound questions of ethics. How many of you like the fact that Facebook is free? Put your hands up. Excellent. How many of you like the fact that Google is free? Put your hands up. Idiots. Nothing is free. Every single thing that you do on the computer is logged, translated, data mined, and inferred by legions of experts at Google and Facebook. The insights that they gain from watching you on the net are sold to people who wish to advertise to you. I want to tell you something. Consider this fact. Google and Facebook should pay you. They don't. You think they're giving it to you free. The ethics involved in such a transaction came to light recently when a British company named Cambridge got Facebook into trouble. And there was Mark Zuckerberg. And for the very first time, a lot of people on this planet actually saw Mark Zuckerberg for the very young, very frightened, very nervous man that he was when he was facing the United Senate. Last night, Facebook admitted again that there was a security breach that over 50 million accounts had been compromised on Facebook. Not only does Google know who your boyfriend's boyfriend is, Facebook knows who his girlfriend is. And it is not you. There are more psychologists, there are more psychiatrists, there are more behavioral analytics employed at Google, Facebook, Instagram. What's the effect when I say this word now? Tinder. What do I have to do if I like a person on Tinder? I'm not even employed by Google and Facebook. I just found out how many of you Lukas are on Tinder. I know how many of you are finding it difficult to find a girlfriend. I just need to ask 2 or 3 more pointed questions to understand why is it that you are not finding a girlfriend. Google knows. Facebook knows. Instagram knows. Tinder knows. Pinterest knows. I'll tell you something you don't know. How many search engines are there besides Google right now that are the preferred favorite search engines on the net? Yahoo? Bing? How many people know the rumor and the theory about the meaning of the word Bing? They say the word Bing stands for Bing is not Google. B-I-N-G. Okay. Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo. Fabulous. Now, this guy is a problem. These guys know what to do. I have a friend of mine who is the kind of genius that he is, and I entered with him into NDTV's worldwide offices, and as a courtesy, the CEO of NDTV Worldwide asked my friend, would you like a Wi-Fi password? He said, I already have it. Would you like me to change it? Which is when I realized what the danger is. This world belongs to people like him. Most of you, 10 years from now, will be very happy to get a job in his company. You think I'm joking? No. The entire status quo of the planet is being rewritten. It is being recoded. Humanity is being recoded to accomplish or to accommodate a completely new set of powers that are available to us. How many of you have seen the picture of the lunar module first landing on the moon? Then Neil Armstrong comes out one step at a time. Then he says, one small step for a man, one giant step for mankind. Can you imagine how much computing power there was in the lunar module because it has to orbit the Earth, reach the slingshot point, shoot into moon's orbit, orbit moon, land, pick the astronauts up, orbit the moon, slingshot point, orbit the Earth, and then come back to Earth. How many people are even aware of how much computing power there was in the lunar module at that time? Sorry? The average smartphone that we use today has 3 times more power than the lunar module that landed on Earth. You see, computing power doubles every 18 months. Let me tell you something interesting as to why Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya is so important. By 2015, all the computing power on Earth, all of it, wristwatches, microwaves, fridges, mainframes, PCs, blah, 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 all the computing power of Earth was equal to the brain power of one rat in 2015. By 2025, all the computing power on Earth will be equal to the brain of one human being. But by 2045, all the computing power on Earth will be equal to the brains of all the human beings on Earth. That moment has been dubbed by the scientist Ray Kurzweil as singularity. We know it because of Tapuri films like Terminator, where there is systems gen and the guy comes there from God and he's running and he's poking things. But that is all very real. That is all extremely, extremely, extremely real. What happens to what we believe in after 2045, when the machines of the world are more powerful than us? There will be a few guys controlling all that power, and by default, all of humanity. This rascal will be one of them. You clapped for him. Yeah. He'll be erasing your bank account 25 years from now. And you won't even know. I'm joking. I'm joking. He looks like a nice boy. What are the ethics we teach to a fantastic, promising brain like this? Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityo ma amritam gamaya. There are timeless things that are true and that are right. There are timeless things that are wrong and that are correct. How do you sally forth into the world? We all know one thing about management today. Management is 99% human management and 1% management of machines. We all know that. Did you know that across the world, psychiatrists describe management as the field that suffers from 3 a.m. terrors, that for no reason at night people wake up frightened out of their wits, not even knowing what they're frightened about. 83% of managers all across the world are terrified that they will be caught for not being able to do the jobs everybody else thinks they are doing. 90% of managers feel that they suffer from the imposter syndrome. If you study psychology, you'll find that the imposter syndrome is somebody who finds themselves in a professional situation and only they have the suspicion that they know nothing about what they're doing. You still need your operating code, your source code to be intact. You need a moral code. What is, come on now, MBA students, let's have an intelligent, adult, full-strength competition. What is the cardinal characteristic of a moral code? Your face. Well, we're just having so much fun. That nice gentleman in that flowery kurta was here. Then you got entertained by this brilliant young boy. It's the classic example of a young kid whose brilliance is driving the world forward. Then I show up. I'm reading your podium out to you. I'm asking you, what is the classic characteristic of a moral code? Why aren't you talking to me? Students of business, daddy and mommy is paying lakhs of rupees for your education. Can somebody please define for me what they mean by education? Let me make things easier. A moral code is worth listening to when that moral code is not at your mercy. When the principles of that moral code cannot be beaten, when you cannot change it. We are going to have a very, very, very interesting time dawning upon us when the machines of tomorrow are going to make the impossible things of yesterday very, very possible. And you will have to decide whether something should be proceeded with or not. Corporate ethics was so much easier 15 years ago. Don't do this, don't do that. Today Facebook has, I love it. I must be such a soothing speaker, no? So relaxing. 2 students are asleep. I won't tell you who they are. Hi, morning. We are rapidly approaching the, I absolutely love it. There was I didn't mean to mention this. Billy Graham, the world famous speaker, once said he was flying on an aircraft when a man came up to him and said, "My wife told me to start listening to your tapes and cassettes," and he said, "It has really helped me. Because every time I listen to your tapes and cassettes, I get a full night's sleep." And he said, "Well, I've been of service to somebody." One of the things about a moral code that is absolutely intact is that at no point of time, depending upon the shifting places you are in, you should be able to say whether something is right or something is wrong. How many people are here on Facebook? Put your hands up. You are the product Google is selling. You are the product Facebook is selling. Okay? Every time you have something happen to you, you immediately put it up on Facebook. You walk into an airport, you put it up on Facebook. You know it's possible to travel without putting it up on Facebook? Did you know it's possible to have a relationship without letting 3 billion people know about it? You didn't know that, right? Because these days what happens is I love you, why am I not on your Facebook page? That seems to be the criterion of relationships. How pervasive is Facebook? The world's most populated country is China. The world's second most populated country is? The world's third most populated country is? Facebook. There are as many people on Facebook. There are more on Facebook than there are anywhere in the world. The net and the web presents such a bewildering cornucopia of possibilities. Facebook is sitting on all this information about you, and it is selling that information. Here's the nice thing, well, I don't know, that I thought about Cambridge Analytica. Facebook has stolen your entire life's information away from you. Cambridge Analytica stole it from Facebook. I love it. How are you going to have corporate ethics at a time like this? You know what I'm saying? Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityuma amritam gamaya. Please see the Matrix films. Okay? There's Matrix 1, 2 and 3. At the end of 3, the closing credits, the music is this shloka. Here's the fun part. Most Indians don't know it. The Wachowski brothers had a fantastic idea. They got a full Western orchestra with Western singers to play this shloka out. And the entire end part of Matrix 3 is Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. You will be astonished. Something absolutely unusual happened with a Marathi film some time ago. Sarah? They went to the Los Angeles Orchestra. And those two music directors got the Los Angeles Orchestra to score the background music for that. You should listen to them on YouTube while the Americans are talking about how difficult it is to accommodate the Indian notes. You need to learn. Western music is cyclical. You say, you'll be mine if I have to. You'll be thinking of somehow. It is cyclical. Indian music is not cyclical. Indian music is interpretative. How much of pain can the singer bear? When I was at college in the US, it's a question of cultures. It's a question of cultures. I made one of my friends listen to what I thought was Carnatic music. And he said, what is that singer hurting from? You should go and see opera. Okay? There are these guys standing there. Opera technically has much in common with Indian music. You should learn those differences. They are part of the full education of your life. When you're an MBA student, don't come out of this side of the college crunching numbers, spewing data, talking about theories. Have a grasp and a grip of the universe you are in. With complete desperation today, begin your search for a personal code of ethics for what is right, for what is wrong. Learn how to be a righteous human being. The Supreme Court struck down the adultery law the day before yesterday. Yeah? That doesn't mean you to be an adulterer. It's a legal stricture that has been cancelled. It does not mean that adultery is now legal. You know what I'm saying, na? I got a lovely SMS that saying that the Bombay Dudwalas are rejoicing because they misunderstood the news. They thought adulteration is legal. That again is a matter of ethics. That again is a matter of pronunciation, it's a matter of ethics. My time is up. I have disrespected this gathering. I'm sorry by speaking for 2 minutes more that I'm allowed to. Thank you for your attention. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your speaking. The next speaker is a girl who has had to come up with wells of courage, determination, just gallantry towards life that none of us have ever had to do. So I'm looking forward to hearing her speak. I apologize for having gone over time. God bless you all. And